Okay, Alex, just wrapping up, satisfying opening day for you?
Yeah, absolutely. All you can ask for on the opening day, isn't it, is a win, because it just gets things moving in the right direction, gives everybody a confidence and a belief, going into what's to follow. I mentioned before the game, didn't I, it was important to get off to a good start, to provide some belief and optimism for the supporters more than anyone else, and I think we did that. They travelled in great numbers and they were excellent throughout the game, and they would have gone home with a spring in the step, hopefully. So yeah, we move on, and Harrogate next.
What was the mood like coming in yesterday?
Yeah, buoyant, as it should be after every win, because you're in this job to win games of football. So when you do win them, it's important that you obviously enjoy, the days that follow. But as soon as we're back into work on that Monday after winning a game on a Saturday, it'll be then focusing on trying to repeat that feeling and those experiences in the game that follows, because it's a long old slog in a League Two season, and that's just one of 46 games that we've completed and ticked off, and hopefully there'll be many more victories of that type this season, because if there is, then we're going to have a successful season.
How big is it in football to have that mood and that feeling right?
Huge, not just for, as I say, the supporters, but also for everybody around the club as well. We saw the other side of how football can work last season, didn't we, when those feelings were more of people being disheartened and dejected because results on the pitch weren't great. We want to turn that tide this season and make sure it's the polar opposite. And obviously, if we continue in the way that we did Saturday by showing two different sides to our performance, both in the first and the second half, then we'll go a long way towards that.
Of course, as you say, you're moving on to the next fixture. Is there anything different towards the next fixture now that the opening game has gone for the players and their build-up with the training and the coaching, etc.? We
have a way of playing and a framework that won't change. The players know where they fit in that system and what their expectations are, not just for those to remain in the team, but those players who are working the way towards trying to get into the team. So that'll never change. They're crystal clear on exactly what we want. So throughout the season now, there'll only be minor tweaks to that, because the principles will always remain the same. However, there's always a different way of defending and a different way of getting in against certain oppositions, because obviously each team plays differently, each team has different systems, so it's almost like a new project every week. So Harrogate will present very different ways of playing against us to what Rochdale did. So they played with a back three last week, for example. Harrogate play with a back three this week, but the way that they utilise that back three is completely different. So we'll get to work from today on working towards a plan for that game.
You touched on how important set plays are and what they mean in the game. How much work is put into it, and in detail, and how much information do you give the players? Because obviously, the goals came at the weekend from one of those. We've
identified set plays as being really important in both boxes, and the big advantage we have this year is that we're big, so we've got some good stature in the team. And as I said Saturday, Belly and Kenny do an awful lot of work on the set plays. That's absolutely nothing to do with me. That those two take ownership for that. They're great at it. They've got some brilliant ideas, and you've got to look beyond the fact that Daniel Aggie put it into the net. You've got to also look at what happened to allow him to be freed up to score that goal as well. And there's a lot of intricate work that goes into that. Don't want to go into too much detail with it, obviously, ahead of playing any level of opposition, because you don't want to give them any clues, but that's something we're going to obviously place a great deal of importance on this year in both boxes.
2 out of the 3, I'll call them 3 main front players really. 2 out of the front 3 got goals at the weekend, and the other one, Basala Sambu, was on the assist as well. That'll do them all the world of good, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We call it a front 4. So we got always have in this system 4 attackers on the pitch. And I don't think you can go any more than having more than 4 out and out attackers on the pitch, because you leave yourself vulnerable in terms of the balance between attacking and defending. So we've got as many attackers on the pitch as we can in our system, because we want to be inventive with the play, we want to be on the front foot, and we want to entertain our supporters, but also ensuring that base behind them, that base of the back 4 and the 2 midfielders, is safe and secure to allow us to go and express ourselves. Callum Ainley obviously had 2 assists on top of the 2 goal scorers. Bas Sambu was a threat as well throughout, and perhaps could have scored and certainly set up a couple. So between the 4 of them, they presented plenty of problems for the opposition, which we're really pleased with.
At the other end of the field, it was a whirlwind sort of 48 hours for Arthur Okonkwo, your goalkeeper. He'll have this week to really settle in. That should be a big benefit to him.
Yeah, absolutely. He dealt with the scenario that was presented to him very well. Obviously, as you've mentioned, he only had 1 day's training with us going into the game, so he'd only had 24 hours in the building around his teammates. But the type of character that Arthur was always going to take that in his stride. He's very composed, calm, quiet and reserved in terms of the way he holds himself, but once he goes onto the pitch, he's got that steely determination to succeed. He lives in a pressure environment every day at Arsenal, training around world-class players and the demands of a world-class manager. So, it didn't surprise us that he coped admirably, and in that first game out the way for him will be nothing but good for him in terms of moving forward now and building a career with us this season.
Yeah, just going to follow up on that. What will he take now out of the weekend game as he makes ready now to play in front of his home supporters? Yeah,
absolutely. He walked back onto the coach after the game and I told him, come here and sit down, let's have a chat. How did you find it? Looked up at him as we spoke, what was the difference between what you've experienced previously and now? He says just having a crowd there and the pressure of it and the supporters chanting, and he was surprised he was getting so much abuse from the opposition fans behind the goal. Says get used to that. I said, how did you find that? He says, it just channels your concentration levels even more, and it'll be a great experience for him, and that's what Arsenal want from this as well. He's going to benefit us in terms of keeping clean sheets, giving Dave Richards plenty of competition, and Arsenal will reap the benefits of that in the years to come, no doubt.